We're going to go ahead and look at note 7.2 here. Okay, and this is on page 388. So I'll write that here at the top for you, page 388. We're still looking at the Pythagorean theorem, but here we're going to look at what's called the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. And so instead of finding a missing side, you're going to be given all three sides, and we're going to determine if it's a right triangle or not. So that's what the converse is when you're actually given all the sides, and then we are determining if it makes a right angle. You will notice the triangles will not have right angles in them. So still looking at a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I think the biggest thing we need to remember is that the longest side is c. So let's jump into the try it on the bottom of page 3. So here we are, and it says we have a triangle, and we have side length 4, 5, and 7. Is it a right triangle? Well, the most important thing is that 7 needs to go where C is, because it's the longest. And the 4 and 5 can go in for A and B. So let's see if this is a right triangle. Does the left side equal the right? 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. And 7 times 7 is 49. 16 plus 25. Well, that's actually going to get you 41. So is 41 equal to 49? No, not equal. And so since it's not equal, is it a right triangle? No. So when we're given all three sides, using the Pythagorean theorem is going to tell us if it creates a right triangle or not. Let's go ahead and look at example 2 now on page 389. And I am in volume 2 of your book. So here, example 2, you can see that they have the three sides, and they went ahead and plugged the numbers in. A squared, B squared, we know that C is going to have to be that longest side. And this does work. You can see at the bottom, 625 equals 625. That means this would make a right triangle. Okay. If we look at example 2, part B, we have the side lengths of another triangle. We want to make sure that we know the C is going to be the 6 because it's your longest. This one does not equal, the left does not equal the right, so it's not a right triangle. And let's go ahead and look at this last one. So I have 10 feet. Ooh, I got a square root. I'm going to go ahead and what I would suggest, we got to figure out which one C is. So we could type the square root in our calculator, and this would be 14.3. So we know that's going to have to be the longest. So as we plug these in, if we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I can do 10 squared plus the square root of 105 squared equal to the square root of 205 squared. And when we look at that, and we go through the process here, 10 squared is 100. You can actually type in your calculator the square root of 105 times the square root of 105, and these actually cancel out and you get 105. The square root of 205 times the square root of 205 is 205. So 100 plus 105, that equals 205. Are these equal? Yes, they are. So this would make, yes, a right triangle. So again, we're just giving you all three sides here. You're using the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to determine if you have a right triangle or not. Let's go ahead and look at our very last example. Example 3. So example 3, it's the same process. Still just trying to determine if it makes a right triangle or not. With decimals, be careful. You want to write the entire decimal down if at all possible. So again, we know the 3.7 has to be C for this problem, and you can see that this will not create a right angle because they're not equal. Let's look at the try it. If we look at the square root of 514, that's 22, so this is going to be our longest side. We're going to plug it into plug all of our values into the Pythagorean theorem. So 15 squared plus 17 squared, does that give us the square root of 514 but squared? And so 15 times 15 is 225. 17 times 17 is 289. The square root squared, these just cancel. You're just left with 514. So is 289 and 225? It does equal 514. So 514 does equal 514. Yes, this would be a right angle. Or a right triangle. So again, we're just looking at 3 sides. And with those 3 sides, does it make a right angle? Will it make our triangle a right triangle? That's it.